All right, well, thanks for being here. Signing day's always a big day, fun day, culmination of a lot of work. Uh, there's nothing particular scientific about signing day. I wish there was sometimes. Um, we kind of looked at the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl starters, the starters for both teams, there were no five stars that started the Super Bowl. I think there were 8 4 stars and then like 23 stars, and there were 10 players that played in the Super Bowl that weren't even rated. So recruiting is obviously important. Evaluating is critical, and then developing after you get them is about as key a component as all that. So I thought our coaches did a great job. They did a good job of evaluating, and one of the great things that happened for us in this class is we had a lot of them in camp. So we got to time them ourselves. Got to work with them. And that gives you a big a plus, because you know what they can do speed-wise, and you can watch them practice, you can coach them, you can work with them, you can see their personality, and so that was a big benefit in this year's class. We got a lot of winners in this class. We got a lot of guys that have played for state championships. L.G. Williams was 39-5 as a starting quarterback. Dustin McWhirter only lost 6 games in his entire high school career. Jordan Mitty, Anthony Taylor, Willie Williams all either went a long way in the playoffs or won state championships or played for them. So they had great careers, and I like signing guys that are winners, that know how to win, that know how to pay the price, and have the commitment and the sacrifice and the dedication that it takes to achieve at a high level. So that was good. I think we got some good explosive skill guys in this class. If you look at our roster, we lose some running backs after next year. Rob, Chris, and Tim Gay are all seniors. So it was important for us to do that. And with Anthony Taylor and Nick Bingham and Braylon Hutchins and Tyler Zazinski, we got some guys who I think can be pretty explosive when they come along. We needed linebackers in this class. We signed 5 of them. We may need all 5 of them to replace David Mayo. That was a pretty special guy. But 3 years ago, David didn't have a very high rating either. So I do think we got some good hitters and some good speed in that group. Bo Anderson's really special, and Teron Fitzgerald's already here. We ended up signing 5 or 6 defensive linemen. 2 of them, Cody Casey and Stephen Eddings, we signed last year. Cody hurt his shoulder over the summer, and so he did not enroll in school full-time until January, and now he'll be ready to go through spring practice starting as a true freshman. And then Stephen Eddings came up just a little bit short on his grades last year, but he stayed with us. We stayed with him. He's 6'4", 280, 285, and I'm pretty confident he'll make his grades this time. He's very close. I think he's 100th point away, so he's in pretty good shape, and so I think we'll get him in here. That size is important, but Landon Beck and Dustin McWhirter and some of these guys, I'm pretty fired up about them. Always need offensive linemen. There's never a year that you don't, it seems like, and we like our 3 guys that we were able to sign there. Probably mostly centers and guards in that group, though Jacob Rowland could be a tackle and do a good job. We hit every position in the class. I wish I could have had a couple more scholarships, but we used every one we had. But if I would have signed maybe another corner and maybe another receiver. That'll probably be something we look at next year. Safety next year will probably be pivotal. I think O-line will be again. We've got some guys that are here for spring ball. Easy and Yama, we recruited Easy out of high school. He went to Texas for track, and then decided he wanted to play football, transferred back. He was here in the fall, so he'll be here to go through spring practice. Cody Casey, I mentioned. We signed a tight end from Saddleback Junior College and Chris French, who will be able to go through spring practice. Teron Fitzgerald is a linebacker from Copiah Lincoln, who is here and will get to go through spring practice. Javante O'Roy is a corner from Palomar that can go through spring. And then Jordan Mitty is a linebacker. Jordan played at Aledo. Jordan went to Navy Prep. Found out that wasn't for him. We were able to recruit him and get him here. Jordan's dad is the basketball coach, women's basketball coach at K-State. Used to be the basketball coach at TCU. He and I were together at TCU, so that was an easy decision and a good get for us there. So those guys will get to go through spring practice right there. So with that, questions?
There's only five guys or 4 guys, JUCO guys, is it 5?
I think 5.
That's down from 9 last year and 10 from the year before. Can you talk about how the program is progressing, not having to get those guys anymore?
Well, as we made the transition from FCS to FBS, we just had to try to put an influx of older talent into our roster, and so we needed the junior college guys. And I think now this is the first time since I've been here that every player on this roster we recruited. Okay, and we've finally gotten to the point where, with more stability in our classes, and as a result of that, we can cut back on recruiting junior college players. We have 23 scholarship seniors in this class coming up, so we didn't need the older influx as much this year. Now, next year we won't have quite as many seniors, but I think it's more the number that we should be at now. Maybe I think anywhere from 2 to 6 or 7, depending on how the classes fall. And hopefully we won't be as high, though sometimes I have trouble turning down good talent. CJ Best was an example of that. I just couldn't turn him down. I wanted him too bad. He was too talented, and he showed that. But that's kind of where we're at, where we're getting to, and where we should be, as you mentioned, and I'm glad to see us finally getting that done.
What about, wide receiver was a point of concern last year about guys being able to get open for Tyler. Do you think you addressed that in this class?
Well, we signed 2. I think Kwame Bowens has got a chance to be something special. Just looking at who offered him out of high school, and then he played Division I football and some of the things, and he has played in a Division I football game. I think that's a big bonus for him. Like I said, I wish we could have signed 1 more in this class. It just didn't turn out that way. Receiver and a corner would have been helpful. I know receiver, we've got some seniors at that position next year, so next year will be a critical year for us at receiver.
You guys are ranked anywhere from 2nd to 4th in the conference as far as recruiting. Is that the first thing you look at, Coach? You got who you're playing against immediately, right? Then to get better than those guys?
Not really.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I think your point's well taken, but I don't put much stock in all of that. Maybe one of the greatest players, certainly one of the greatest, maybe the greatest player ever coached, Brian Urlacher, he didn't have a lot of offers coming out of high school. So I look at who they sign from areas we recruit, and did we recruit them, did we like them, did we lose them, did we turn them down? I look at that more, Steve, than to evaluate things than anything else. The way I see some of those recruiting rankings, if you can sign a big class, you're going to get ranked higher. It seems like to me you ought to take an average to rank, because some years you don't have a lot of scholarships. So I think it was Arkansas State ahead of us maybe, and I don't know who else, but I think they both had large classes, and so that helps you. So I think that all that's a little. I think the rankings are based on what they've done and how many you sign. They're not based on what they're going to do for you and how they're going to turn out. And the Statesman had a great article about a week ago. You probably read it. You may have written it. I didn't think you did, but about the Fab 55 from 4 years ago. And really, if you go down that Fab 55, there were a lot of them that did not pan out. A lot of misses there. So I think the ratings are fun to talk about. I think they're great for the fans. Good water cooler stuff and all those kinds of things. But I don't really do a lot of. It's nice we were ranked pretty high and all that, but that's not my biggest concern. My biggest concern is signing good players that we think can help us be successful. And then the ones that got away, or why did they get away? Did we not recruit them, or did we get beat? So that happened. Both those things happened.
You're fond of saying sometimes it's not the X's and O's, it's the Johnnies and the Joes. Do you think you have the Johnnies and the Joes now, Coach?
Yeah, we're getting closer. Yeah, I think we are. I think what's happened in our program bears out what I'm saying. Forever I've talked about the process, and we went 6-6 our first year in Division I FBS. We went 4-8, had our struggles, then we got a 6-6, and then we got a 7-5. So we're getting closer to doing that. And when you look at the guys we've got coming back, the Tyler Joneses, the Rob Lowe's, the C.J. Best, David Mims, some of those kind of guys, I think we're closer than we've ever been. We need to keep upgrading our talent level, but I feel good about this team, with this influx of players.
You've been doing this a long time, Coach. Has anything changed over the years? Is it still just getting the right fit for your team?
I think the core of it has not changed, Steve. I think the surrounding parts of it, such as social media, multiple uniforms, maybe you'd say the fluffy things change. The substance issues don't change. You still have to have a good school to sell. You still have to have a program to sell. You still have to work very hard at it. You still have to have academics in order and facilities in order. Those core things don't ever change. But kids change, and Twitter and all those things have made how you market your program in recruiting different. And fortunately, I think we're doing a pretty good job of keeping up with most of that stuff. But it's that part. There's always parts that are not always going to change, and you have to stay up with it. Unfortunately, I got enough young guys that are pretty good at doing that.
Up the road, they're really talking about the attitude is different in recruiting. They're trying to get guys on the edge, have a chip on their shoulder. Do you have to have that? Do you look for that too, Coach, especially in the fact that you guys have been passed over the last 2 years from ball games?
We call it OKG. That's what we call it. Our kind of guy. That's what we're looking for. Our kind of guy. And that's the great thing about recruiting is you get to make your choices, and the beauty's in the eye of the beholder. And we look for the OKGs. Like Rick just said, where are you going to play LG Williams? We're going to play him at quarterback. I'm fired up about him as a quarterback. He's not real tall or anything. He's about as tall as that guy just played for the Seahawks on last Sunday. And he's a winner, and he's a heck of a little player. He's a pre-med major. I'm talking to him the other night, and he plays the guitar. So I'm listening to him play the guitar, and I said, well, how'd you learn how to do that? He said, I did it off YouTube. I'm like, wow, I didn't know you could do that off YouTube. You probably all knew that kind of stuff. I didn't know that. But anyway, he's talented. He's a winner. He's smart. His offense was like ours. I think he's going to be a heck of a little quarterback. We signed 2 good quarterbacks, I think. Young man from Topeka has got some size and things, Blake, and I think he's going to be a good quarterback. And we needed to sign 2 in this class.
Easy Adamaya, is he eligible to go now, Coach?
He is.
Because he was here last year, right?
Right, he was here in the fall, so he'll complete his year of residence. Easy and Yama. And Easy ran 60s meter dash and hurdles at Texas, so you know he's got speed and he's got good size. Sometimes we wonder if he ought to be a linebacker or a safety, but right now I think we're thinking he's going to be a safety. We recruited Easy very hard out of high school, wanting him to play for us, and so when the opportunity presented itself to get him back, we were excited about him.
So you won't play running back, you'll play safety?
Yes.
Will he do track too, coach, or just?
Excuse me?
Will he do track too, or just?
Just football right now.
When you're looking at the recruiting class and identifying what you need, what attributes and what mental makeup that you focus on, or physical attributes as well in this draft class or signing class?
Well, I think the first thing you do is you have a formula for what your needs are. Like, we want to have 5 quarterbacks on scholarship, 5 tight ends on scholarship, 15 or 16 offensive linemen. So the first thing you do is analyze, okay, how many seniors are we going to lose, or are we losing, and how do our numbers, how do we plug those in now? Then, height and weight is always, and speed are always, and strength are always going to be critical areas. But there are exceptions to that, somewhat. I can't make a 5'8", 220-pounder into a good offensive lineman at this level, but sometimes, you end up with a 6'1" guy that's pretty good. That happens, maybe. I think the physical attributes of being able to move and still have strength, and the OKG part of it is pretty big for us, our kind of guy. Toughness, mental toughness, puts in the extra time. You have to research so much more in depth than just height, weight, speed, et cetera, et cetera. We want guys that, as Charlie's kind of saying about chip on their shoulder, we like that, but we want guys that love football, because college football is a time commitment, and if they don't love football, they're not going to make it. They're not going to develop the way they need to do. We want guys that want to go in the weight room and get better, want to go on a practice field and get better, want to do the extra things. We only get them 8 hours in the spring. Well, if they're just going to work 8 hours, they're probably not going to reach their potential. They've got to do some things on their own. We want guys that want to do that. If you come up here during the day, our guys, when they get done lifting and they're on their own, they go out and throw or pass rush each other or do things. That's what we're looking for, is guys that are going to do those kinds of things. That kind of answer your question?
Coach, when your guys went out this year recruiting, is the perception of the program any different? Did you notice that from the high school coaches this year and the recruits? I mean, obviously you're in the third year, third, fourth year, I keep forgetting.
Yeah.
But was it easier this time, Coach? Was it easier?
Well, recruiting is never easy because you're always trying to climb a notch. But your point's well taken in that we're identified as an FBS program now. We have a profile. We have a personality. That took a little while to obtain. You didn't just say we're going to Division I and go out of FCS and do the things in that process of transition that we did and just gain that from the get-go. And so as you're going through that process, some guys are a little apprehensive about you. You had to sell a little blue sky probably during that time. We don't have to do that as much now. Now we have those attributes and personality that make us a lot easier sell to a higher level player. We can get in some doors we couldn't have gotten into a couple, 3 years ago probably.
Coach, with Tyler Sadinsky, has he always been on you guys' radar? I noticed that you just signed with you guys today, and I didn't really hear much about him until today. So
We hit him out.
A little bit on that.
We hit him out.
Oh, you did that.
No, after, as we went through the Christmas holiday, we kind of had to evaluate losing 3 seniors, how we wanted to handle running back. And he's 3 for 3 He's not a typical JC as Chris French is. He's 3 for 3. When we came back out of January, we were very interested in him and did our due diligence and research and things like that. We didn't visit him until this last weekend. It didn't work out until then. So he kind of flew under the radar as a result of all those things. Probably before Christmas, we weren't maybe thinking in that direction that much, and then after Christmas, and we had time to sit back and evaluate a little bit further and talk about it. You know, it come down to, are we going to take him or a receiver? And we kind of decided to take him right now.
I know last year you were saying that the focus of the class was to enhance the defensive line and bulk up there. Was there a focus this time around? Because it seems like you have a very well-rounded class at each position.
I'm giving you 5 demerits for being late, Joe.
Just want to get that on film.
Yeah. Running back was a focus. Linebacker was a focus. I think D-line and O-line are always a focus. I don't think those ever go away. Quarterback was probably a little bit of a focus. We signed 2. We only have 2 on scholarship right now. Fred Nixon's going to move to receiver. Putting 2 in place we felt like was pretty important. And, that complexion, O-line and D-line, I don't know if that ever changes. You're always looking for the dominance up front to start your process to win. And, next year the focus will change a little bit more to safeties and receivers and corners, but I still think we'll sign 4 or 5 offensive linemen next year.
Let's talk about your kicker a little bit. Obviously, you used a couple of guys that kicked for you. You needed one, didn't you, Coach?
We did. Will Johnson's had a great career, and he played in the NFLPA game. He's been invited to the NFL Combine. Great punter and great kickoff guy, so replacing him is not easy. He actually could do all 3. You don't find many guys like that. We really liked Lumi Kaba out of high school. He didn't qualify, so he went to Tyler. And Brad did a great job of staying with him. And then as we got to the point of, yes, we are going to take one, he was the guy we really targeted from the get-go. And so I think we've signed a really good one. He's had a great career. He's got a good leg. He can do all 3 if needed. If you can find a guy to do all 3, you might save yourself a scholarship there. We're a little different in some schools. We believe in recruiting and offering a scholarship to a kicker if we feel like he's good. So I think Lumi's will come in right from the get-go and make an impact.
Now that you got these guys in place, you have to move to the next step, Coach. It's the 27th, right? That's when you guys start?
26th now.
26th now. Okay.
Moved it up a day.
Okay, Thursday. I'll have to write that down.
3 weeks from tomorrow.
Do you see that a lot of these guys have an impact early on? You just talked about the kicker. You see some of the JUCO guys, but a lot of them going to be ready for you?
We hope so. That's why we recruited them. Otherwise, you'd recruit a freshman. We hope that they're going to be able to make an impact. What little I've seen in conditioning workouts of Tron Fitzgerald and Chris French and Javante O'Roy, the 3 JC kids that are here, I think they're going to make an impact. I've been pretty impressed with their athleticism at this point in time. But haven't coached them a day yet. But I like what I see right now. As I recruited them, I liked it, and what little I've got to see them when I've been here to work out a little bit, I like what I see and how they've handled themselves academically already, and in this transition. Stephen Eddings, I think we've always liked Stephen. I think he'll come in and help us. Hopefully, we can get him here for the entire summer so we can get him in football shape. Because he hadn't had the ability to redshirt. He's 2 for 2 now. So we have to get him ready to go and to help us. That'll be pretty critical. Chris French at tight end, one of our biggest losses on offense is Brad Miller. the versatility that he had. I don't know if Chris can be as versatile right now as Brad was for us, but we hope. He's athletic, so we'll see.
I know last year you were saying if they don't, telling your guys that are going out recruiting, if they don't look like UL Lafayette guys, don't bring them back here. Was that a similar charge, and do you see that you're getting closer to those same players that you're bringing in at Texas State?
I think so. We didn't talk about it as much this year, but the point had already been made, so the point was, we understand that. And every once in a while that still comes up. We want to compete at the highest level of this conference. They've been the highest level, so we gotta get guys that can do that. And when you start measuring the height and weight, speed categories and strength, if my guys can't run as fast, that's a problem. If my guys aren't as strong as theirs or as big as theirs, that's a problem. Like the old boy said, I've coached good players and won. I've coached bad players and struggled. So we want good players. We think we're getting closer to that right now. We really do.